Welcome, my friends of the interwebs. I was just out here, hitting my some of my knives with the Rusty's Rags. As you know, my sponsor. Yeah, and I wanted to do a real life video, so welcome, my friends of the interwebs, and welcome to another edition of Real Life. How do you like that? You haven't heard that in a while. This is going to be a real quick real life video. I do want to add this. I put this as Real Life 30. Yesterday, Mike Smith of Target Oil and Gas was sentenced to 10 years in federal pen. Today, his brother got 5 years. I think a couple of days before before Mike Smith got sentenced, his son, Sean Michael Smith, got 2.5 years, which is a pretty light sentence. In fact, Judge Hood, the Honorable Judge Hood, I guess he kind of felt like, you know what, the guy was young. Sean was under 30. No, he wasn't that young. He's 29. But I think the judge wanted to give this guy a break, and I hope and pray that Sean learns his lesson and does not go back to swindling people when he gets out of prison, because I'm a skeptic. I'll be honest with you. I am. I like to give a young guy a second chance in life, but I am a skeptic. As far as his father, Mike Smith, president of Target Oil and Gas, I think 10 years was too late. I honestly was hoping for 20. Well, I always, people have asked me along the way that they knew a little something about this. They asked me, how much time would make you happy on this scenario? And I always said the same thing. I'd be like, look, at the low end, if he gets 10 years, I could live with it. And that's at the low end. But the truth of the matter is, when I heard he got 10 years, I was like, 10 years, that's it? So, yeah, I don't know. I probably would have said the same thing if he'd gotten 20. Well, I would have, because 20 was the maximum. So anyway, but I supposedly, and I don't know much about criminality, but criminal justice, but I've been told that he has to do at least 85% of his sentence in a federal facility. So there isn't going to be none of this bullshit of doing a couple years and getting released on good behavior. So Mike Smith is no longer a problem for society. Well, he probably always will be a problem for society, but at least he's not an imminent threat to society. Anyway, the Mike Smith at Target Oil and Gas thing, I know a lot of you who've been watching my real life videos from the very beginning kind of like got the 11th hour stuff, and you were all like, what the hell? Here's the thing. Listen, while the whole deal with Frito and Super Trooper and, of course, then later on with Pinhead, while all that stuff was going on, there was a whole nother drama going on in my life that was actually much more interesting and much more serious, and that was with Target Oil and Gas. The Hillbilly Mafia is what they referred to themselves as. I was not allowed to talk about that because they were being, at that time, indicted by the United States of America, and I became a witness for the prosecution for the United States Attorney's Office. And when I became a witness for the United States Attorney's Office, they asked me not to blog about it, so I couldn't. And it was a real catch-22 for me, because I was happy to be part of the team that was going to bring justice to the situation, but yet, you know me, I like to blog, and part of blogging for me, well, there's a lot of reasons I blog, but a part of it was therapy for me, and, I could have really used a whole lot of blogging about Michael Smith and Target Oil and Gas and what was going on at that particular time. But I wasn't allowed to talk about it, so I had to eliminate that. So I stuck to the whole Frito and Super Trooper, and then, of course, later on Pinhead and whatnot thing, and, I made it work. But then an interesting thing happened. The whole time I wasn't allowed to talk about it per request by the United States Attorney's Office. I always thought, well, okay, once they're convicted, then I'll be able to go ahead and fill everybody in. That was the plan, and kind of go back and detail the whole thing, because it's, to be honest with you, if you thought that the Frito thing was a big story, an interesting story, Frito was chump change compared to Mike Smith and Target Oil and Gas. So, but here's the thing. So, they get convicted last July. Oh, and by the way, real quick, as far as I know, and this is a little factoid that you might find on Jeopardy someday, doubtful, but as far as I know, I am the only YouTuber to ever have his or her videos used to successfully prosecute. Well, used to prosecute somebody in general. It was really surreal because there I was on the witness stand. I had a little 14-inch monitor in front of me. The judge had a 14-inch monitor in front of him, and as did the prosecution and the defense team. But every juror in the juror box had a 14-inch monitor in front of them, and we were all watching my YouTube videos. It was really something. I had made, per request, a bunch of videos for the prosecution and actually put them on a different channel altogether that I'd never advertised, and it was for the consumption of the prosecution. Over the last so long, a few of you have stumbled on them, but yeah, it was really interesting to be part of it. It's kind of a historic thing in the world of YouTube. Not that YouTube will ever acknowledge me for that, but still interesting nonetheless. So anyway, so they get convicted, and I was a major player and a star witness for the prosecution, and I helped do my part to get them off the streets. But here's the thing. Right around that time, I get involved with a production company for the television thing. About a year ago, yeah. And I was asked just to be kind of quiet about the whole oil and gas thing because the TV show was going to revolve around my oil on my property and the oil wells and whatnot. So I had to keep quiet about it. And now, of course, just recently, in fact, I was asked by a producer if I would be willing to take down my real life videos. And I said, well, listen, for the right amount of money, I would be willing to take them down. And also, of course, they asked me not to be, going on about some book, at least not at this stage. And so, we haven't nailed down the contracts yet, but when you see these videos come down, the real life videos come down, you'll know that that's what it's all about. However, having said that, and I know some of you will be somewhat perturbed about that, but you know what? All I can tell you is stay tuned and watch it on television. That's all I can say. And I know that's kind of shitty. I'm just trying to make lemonade out of lemons. I don't want to have to take down my real life videos, but I can understand why the production company would not want me to keep them up. I mean, if they're shelling out a lot of money to tell a story and to show a situation that, they don't need any competition for, or people having any heads up on stuff, so it is what it is. So now it's hard to vlog about the Target oil and gas Mike Smith thing because, I got this thing going with the TV thing. So it's really, such is life. But I did feel the need to come on here, and I wanted to, and I needed to talk a little bit about this because, listen, this thing with Mike Smith has been going on for years now, and there was a stretch there where I didn't think he was going to go to jail. There was a stretch where I thought he was going to get out of it. He had an awful lot of money, and the one thing that I've learned about our justice system is that for people who don't have money, there's not much justice. For people who do have money, they can manipulate the system like you would even believe. I mean, they turned Judge Hood's court into a circus. And, and part of it, and I was so mad at the judge, but, well, I don't know. I'm not going to talk about the judge at this point. But yeah, their lawyers, because they had tons of money, were able to do all kinds of stupid stuff. In the end, it didn't matter. In the end, they were convicted, and in the end, they fought this for a year, going to jail stuff. But guess what? Tonight, Mike Smith's sleeping in jail. But I mean, I have seen the difference. I mean, I have seen what people with money can do as far as manipulating the system. It's really ridiculous. And in fact, today, Mike Smith, today he what did he do? Oh, his lawyer filed a motion for his release pending his appeal, and I will be sick to my stomach if that gets through. But I don't think it will. I at least I hope it doesn't. But with Judge Hood, who knows? I don't have the most confidence in that man. I just don't. I think at one time. Well, anyway, I don't want to get back into the Judge Hood thing because I'm liable to say some things I might regret. So anyway, yeah, but I did want to come on here, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Mike Smith. I wanted to say, and I don't think Mike Smith's going to, obviously he doesn't have internet in jail, or at least not in county right now. He's in county now waiting for his assignment to a federal facility. But, yeah, Mike, if this gets back to you, you know what? You get what you deserve, you piece of shit. You sued me for, well, by the way, this is the clown, this is the asshat that sued me for slander. You know, he was my first successful slander situation. In a nutshell, and real quickly, about 2 weeks before I was to testify against him, he took exception to some videos that I had on the internet, and he sued me for slander. And the one thing about me, and I know that most of you who've been with me know this about me, but I don't care to tell the truth. I do not care if it comes back to bite me in the ass. I will tell the truth. I will tell it the way it is, the way it was. I will name names. Makes no difference to me, because in the end, the truth will prevail, and it does. And I don't care to fight. I will fight tooth and nail. And I don't care if somebody sues me for slander. In fact, people have asked me before about Pinhead. Well, aren't you scared he's going to sue you for slander? You know what? No, sue me for slander, Pinhead, you piece of shit. Mike Gregory, or Freddie Michael Gregory from 4 Mile, Kentucky, Levi Branch Road. Sue me. Here's the thing about me. I tell the truth. I always tell the truth. The truth may hurt, but it's not slander. And if I have to defend that in court, then I defend it in court. If it costs me money, it costs me money. Cost me to defend myself against Mike Smith, probably somewhere around $10,000. I think is what it cost me. The only sad thing about that, and I don't really care. I mean, $10,000. Whatever. I will spend whatever it takes to defend myself. And I know it cost him a shit ton of money to unsuccessfully sue me, but. To me, it's you got to do what's right. You got to do what's right. And I think the only sad thing about the deal with Mike Smith suing me for slander was that the truth is that Mike Smith only sued me because he was trying to intimidate me. And he was pissed that I was going to testify against him. He knew that I had a lot to say that the jury would be very interested in hearing. And he knew I was a good speaker. And he knew I could influence the jury, and I did. I influenced them with the facts, but it was the way I presented them that he was scared of, and so he sued me for slander. And then after he got convicted, what I did was I filed a counterclaim against him, saying, not only am I not guilty of slander, but I won out of my lease because you're basically in default and whatever. So anyway, that cost me some money. In the end, I won. So if Pinhead sues me for slander, it will cost me some money, but in the end, I will win. In fact, the only person that really has a lot to lose over a slander suit between me and Pinhead is Pinhead. Because if he does sue me for slander, there's going to be an awful lot, and I will push this like people would not believe how. I mean, I'll tell you what, there will be witnesses on the stand, there will be people under oath, and the truth will prevail, and Pinhead will probably, in the end, be indicted and sent up the river for defrauding the United States taxpayer, amongst other things. So no, I'm not worried about slander. But you know what? I probably shouldn't even talk about this because I want to do a whole video on slander. Because, I hear that word slander thrown around quite a bit on YouTube. And there are people who are scared to death to say this or say that about anybody. And maybe some guidance from me will help them figure out what they need to do. But in a nutshell for me, always tell the truth and be willing to defend it. But I do realize that a lot of people cannot afford to defend the truth, and it is expensive. So it's like the whole thing with Frito and the fence. I mean, it cost me around $9,000 or $10,000 to get that fence taken down, but I didn't have any choice. And if you're not willing to stick up for what's right, you're screwed. It's just that simple as far as I'm concerned. So, but anyway, I know a lot of you, just real quickly towards the end of this rambling, we're a little miffed about the whole Target Oil and Gas being part of the whole real life thing because you're so wrapped up into the whole world of In the Holler with Pinhead and the whole thing with the drug dealers and all that stuff. And I realize that, but it just, I needed to say some stuff about Mike Smith and Target Oil and Gas. I wish I would have been allowed to tell that story right along with the Frito thing because you all know how much shit that I was going through with Frito. If you can only imagine that wasn't the only shit I was going through. I had all this other stuff going on with Target Oil and Gas, and man, my plate was overfull. I mean, it was overflowing. It really was. Good news, though, maybe I've already told you this, but Super Trooper is no longer a cop, and he is now a truck driver. He should be in prison, but yeah, Kentucky's Kentucky. I love Kentucky. God bless Kentucky. It's hard. It's hard for Kentucky to put their own in jail. I don't know why that is. It really is hard for them though. But every now and again, justice prevails. Hey, well, anyway. So yeah, this is Real Life 30. How do you like it? How do you like it? I probably will. Well, I don't know if I'll do any more real lives. I might, because I can guarantee you that I'll be requested not to do any more real life videos. But I might actually do an offshoot on Pinhead, only because Pinhead really doesn't have anything to do with my oil and gas wells. Pinhead has his own oil and gas well, but it doesn't have anything to do with me. And I think that I can talk about Pinhead in a real life setting without calling it real life, and possibly not be in violation of any contractual obligations that I have with the production company. I guess we'll see. I'll have to talk to my attorney about that. Anyway, listen, everybody. Just like I said, just wanted to fill you in. I'm going to have a link under here to an article about Mike Smith and his sentencing. If you're interested, just Google Target Oil and Gas and Mike Smith, and you'll get all kinds of good stuff. If it's something that interests you. But anyway, listen, everybody. Sorry this has been so long. But hey, take care.